I can't believe it. Episode 9. Holy moly. And for our listeners that have been with us since the beginning, thank you so, so much. We adore you. You mean the world to us. We hope that you're sharing this content, gaining knowledge from it, getting a little entertainment, and not feeling maybe so alone with some of the thoughts you're going through too. So that's what's great about it. And we're all taking ownership over our lives together and being the best versions of ourselves and having that total wellness that all of us seek as individuals in our own personal life. But before we jump into episode 9, I just want to say, obviously, we're in the ownership studio, in-house studio here. And of course, I have my bestie, my work husband, producer Jay Brown with me.
Oh, thank you. Work husband now. I got upgraded. All right.
I kind of did. Well, I mean, for our listeners that are listening and people that watch this later, last night I had a client event because I have another life than ownership. I kind of like to double dip on things here. And ownership is definitely my passion project. And last night I had a really big client event that I also pulled you into to be our videographer for that event. So we are burning the coal on both ends here. We are just spending the whole weekend together. So yeah, you're definitely my work husband this weekend.
Yeah, you know, I think this is the first time we spent this much time together in a long time.
You're over it. You're like, get me out of here.
Well, I was a little bit. I was like, last night she was on one last night.
I gotta
be with. Well, no. Like, so what you see now is Allison that's prim and proper, and she's after an event. Oh, when the heels came off. When the red bottoms came off, oh my goodness, there was a whole different Allison that you could see let loose. It was fantastic.
The rap energy. It's event life. There's producer vibe, pre-production, in the event of pure perfect execution and looking at everything like being the conductor of an orchestra. And then it's like that final rap hour. And you're right. It's when I change the shoes. It is like...
Oh, you went for those sandals quicker than quick.
Birkenstocks are godsend. They have been my production shoes for over 20 years. I've loved them before they were hot and trending. I'm all about my Birkenstocks. I call them my Jesus flats, and I'm here for it. And when those bad boys go on, we're in rap mode.
Yep. But it was good to see that other energy that you have where you could let loose and enjoy yourself. And it was from somebody that knows you as personally as a wonderful friend, but then seeing you as a work husband in a work wife situation, it was nice to see you have that time to then decompress. I went home, had some tacos, had a beer, and went right to bed. I was in bed by 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. So this is new, but ownership episode 9. What do we got?
Okay. This is what I got because I was so inspired by the energy yesterday and what the theme of this whole weekend is. And like you were saying, watching me decompress. Well, last night, what was really fun about last night and why I was having such a really good time and kind of was tying one on with my crew. Not only do I have the great luxury and pleasure of getting to work with people that I consider friends, which is beyond incredible. I don't feel like my work is work. Like I get to play, I get to create, and I get to do it with people I respect, have fun with, and genuinely have a strong relationship with, like outside of whatever it is we're doing or what set we're on or what event we're doing or what marketing campaign. So, last night, I had some of my favorite people that I've not done an event with since really kind of the Fashion Week San Diego days. And, you know, I sold that a couple of years ago and I've had kind of my departure from there, slow transition out. And I've kind of been all quiet on the Western front, as you say, when it comes to those type of events. So last night I got to be back with kind of a skeleton crew of my Fashion Week crew. And it was like riding an old bike. And I don't think I've laughed that hard, honestly, in probably 2 years. It was probably the best medicine last night. My face still hurts today. My eye is swollen because I couldn't even keep it open anymore. Because when I laugh, my eyes scrunch up, my whole face compacts, and it's like a full body face laugh. So my eyes actually hurt. I've never had that in my life. My eyes actually hurt.
Yeah, you know what? One of the wonderful things about this, and I love that you posted this. So if you don't follow either one of us on Instagram, but if you follow Allison on Instagram, you posted this wonderful little tribute, and it really tickled my heart first thing in the morning. So we've known each other for about 10 years. Yeah. And one of the first things I did some shooting for you for Fashion Week San Diego, and you posted this thing, and it was very, very heartfelt. I'm going, damn. First I was like, oh, and I was like, damn, I've known you for 10 years. And then some other things that you'd been on a talk show that I started back in the day where you had come on live and you were pitching Fashion Week San Diego. And then we had done some small stuff here and there. And then when we got this big thing going, it was fantastic, but it made me feel good. But the other thing was seeing you go, seeing you right now is one thing, but seeing this woman work is completely different. She
Energizer Bunny.
She is the epitome of boss babe, and you just carry yourself with such grace and such glamour at the same time. And I don't know how you do it. And it as a TV producer and a podcast producer, it gives me a different affinity for you, seeing you take on that role, and you're just shuffling on a chessboard people where they need to be. So I was proud to be your coworker last night, but I was also incredibly proud to be your friend and see you in this wonderful light. So yes, bravo to you. Bravo to you.
Brava. Thank you to the whole team, and bravo to my whole team, because I'm just one person, but it does take a village and an army, and you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I believe that. And so thank you, but it's a group effort for sure. I'm only as good as my team. And that is really true, because I've had some not so great teammates, and it's a domino effect. But so that's the theme. Okay. So that's what I'm getting to. So for episode 9, this podcast, last night I was inspired, and I kind of went a little rogue and changed our agenda a little bit, because it's a good thing, because I was kind of reflecting last night and this morning and kind of all today before we got into all this about how interesting it is to go from being an expert to a novice. So the title of episode 9, what we're going to talk about in this podcast episode of ownership, is being an expert in one area and then going back to being a novice. And I think this is extremely relevant in today's world, because we're having people now where it is absolutely common to have 2 to 3 completely separate careers, lives. I mean, how many people do we know went from cities and corporate jobs and said, forget about it, and went and got land, and now they're farmers? I mean, we all know some experience in our life, even thinking about yourself right now. You know, during the pandemic and COVID, a lot of people had these kind of come to God moments where they really took inventory on their life and said, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I doing what I want to do? Is there something else I need to do, want to do, desire to do, and had maybe the guts, the time, stuck at home, whatever it was, the perimeters got laid off, whatever it was, had to close their business because of what was going on in the world, whatever the catalyst was, they made that motion. But what's not talked about, okay, is not the fact that people are taking those risks and doing that. I'm all here for it. I mean, I write a chapter about taking risks and saying yes, and that's going to be our next podcast episode today. But it's really about the mental flexibility and being comfortable going from being an expert, a leader, someone who's could do what they do in their sleep, right? To being a complete novice again. And that's a really hard flex. And I actually am in that myself. I recently got certified as a coach. I wrote a book. It's coming out here in a couple, by the time this podcast comes out, hopefully I have it in my hand. And I'm at the very beginning of this. In the coaching world, in the podcast world, I am not who I am in my other life. And to be able to toggle emotionally, mentally, and with our egos, our own self, and be able to go from expert to I'm happy to take feedback. I'm happy to learn. I need to grow. I'm not the best here. And being able to toggle that is a mental flex and a great skill. And I don't think that I'm unique there. I think there's a lot of people that do that and maybe live with that in parallel, like myself. So what are your thoughts on today's episode of going from being an expert to a novice, and then maybe back to an expert again if you're lucky to get there?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that there's a lot I could say about this because I've experienced that as well. But have you heard that anecdote about wearing a different hat?
Yes.
So it's like that. It's like, you have your mom hat. I have my dad hat. You have your boss babe hat, and I have my producer hat. But it's one of those things where when I got into my field, I didn't know anything other than what I knew from watching TV. That takes people behind the scenes and whatnot to make a television program or a TV news program or whatever. There's people that they're doing, from the cameraman to the sound guy to the technical director to the director to the producer. There takes a lot of people behind it. And it took me learning all that stuff and going, I don't know this, and getting feedback. And then one of the things they tell you when you enter the broadcast world is that don't ever let your ego get big, because all it takes is one person to knock you down a rung and you're going to go all the way down. So you have to be humble pie, because there's going to be times where you screw up and you make a mistake because you're still learning. And even now, with all the knowledge that I have, there's still times I'm making mistakes and stuff like that. It's part of the thing. I think it's like a constant evolution of what we're doing as human beings as we're growing. I don't think anybody could ever be an expert per se.
Yeah.
But you can continue to grow and continue to learn and continue to evolve, get that knowledge that helps you know more than some person that's just coming into the business. And that's like when I worked in news, that was my goal, was to train some of these new guys that were just starting out, give them the wealth of knowledge that I have. And there were times where the boss comes screaming out the door and I'm the first one to stand up in front and take the bullet and then go back and have that teaching moment and go, hey, what could you have done better? What could, and so to prevent the mistakes from happening. But I think it's a learning process.
Yeah, I agree. It's absolutely a learning process. I mean, we have a whole episode on growth and growth mindset and, continuing to grow. But I feel like if I were to extract one thing that I keep seeing coming out of this, kind of going from an expert of whatever it is in your life, right, to being a novice, you touched on it. It's humility. It's being humble. It's being able to say, yeah, I might be this expert. I might be this leader. I might be the top dog, but I know I'm not. Even if you are, paper, fact, stats, whatever it may be, okay? Closing deals, whatever it is, okay? But at the end of the day, like you said, it can just take that one hit, that one other person, or pandemic, sickness, death, whatever, to totally uproot you and change you. But I think for the individuals who are coachable and open and aware, self-awareness, to know that they, even when they are the top dog, they're not the top dog, and have that kind of mentality of never getting to that status, even if they're physically holding it. Their title is it, their bank account is it, whatever it is, okay? But never actually adopting that title as their own. I think that's that key. It's that humility. It's that humbleness. It's that novice energy and mindset, not the ego, expert, boss, leader, king, queen mentality. It's that ego that will kill you.
I think you touched on something really good now. I don't mean to interject, but
please do.
But the fact is that I think you could be a good leader,
yes,
but also be coachable, because that's the way.
That's what leadership is.
It is.
My undergraduate's in leadership. Literally, if you are a leader, your whole thing is about the people you're serving. It has nothing to do with you.
And so, but I think you touched on a really good thing. You have to be coachable. And I think a lot of people get into that mentality of going, hey, I've got to this position. You heard it before. I've got to this position for knowing all the stuff that I do, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't know what I'm doing.
Oh, we know these people.
Just because you are there, that's fine. That's great. Some of us have even been in that spots. But you have to take a self-evaluation and look back and like, is there more that I can learn? And you have to have that mindset of having the ability of going, there's more I can learn. There's always more that you can learn. I use it with my son about the analogy of the brass ring. And I've always told him, I said, you want to go for the brass ring, but you want to keep it so close enough where your fingertips are just touching it, but it keeps getting pulled up a little bit higher so that you keep chasing after it and chasing after it and chasing after it. Because if you don't, you're not going to continue to learn, and you're not going to continue to grow, which was what we talked about in our growth session. But again, it's one of those things about you need. But
do you really think it's learn? I'm cutting you off now, and I giggled because it's so funny. Parents, we all have the same analogy, but we have our own spin on it. I tell my kids, shoot for the moon, and then I say, if you don't hit the moon, it's okay because you're in the stars. You're still in outer space. It's so funny. We all as parents basically have the same thing, but we have our own spin on it. But cracks me up. But when it comes to this again, I really want to hone in on not having this kind of growth, keep learning thing. Because, for example, I will use myself with Fashion Week San Diego. I was the first independent owner operator of a world recognized industry fashion week. The only independent owner of a small, independent, but yet recognized by the world fashion week and approved by the world in my industry. It was huge. Okay. That's a huge title. You can't go higher. I mean, within my scope of my world, ours was the largest, not only on the West Coast, but in the United States. We were the first. We were the first to be the only binational fashion week in the world. When everybody in the pandemic went down and I had just sold this business, I came back full force, full engagement. And we were the very first fashion week during COVID to figure out how to broadcast live and go remote and still make profit off of selling tickets for people to buy a ticket to watch it online. We are the first. We beat Milan actually, and we beat Paris. They were after us, and we're very proud about that. And that was an initiative of just, figure it out and keep going. But I physically was learning and problem solving with what came up, but I never, even knowing my stats, knowing my position, knowing what I did, my contribution and my role and where I sit at that boardroom table, right? And I know where that seat is for me. I don't know if it's a fear of loss. It's not a fear of loss. It's just this mentality, but it's a mentality thing. It's more of an ego. Last night at our event, for example, I'm walking past, as you said, in red bottoms. I'm in silk and lace. I'm full done up, hair, makeup, the whole kabang, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. And I see a cocktail napkin on the ground with a skewer stick from one of the tray passed appetizers. I literally reach down, pick it up and go find a trash can and throw it away.
Yeah. I did a couple things too. I saw a couple business cards and stuff on the ground. I'm like, that's pick it up, throw it in the trash.
But I know people who are in not even my level of position, but somewhat senior.
That would walk past that.
Walk past it, or go find an intern, or go find a low-rung staffer to go back and do something they could have done in 3 seconds. So my thing is, I think it really comes down to having that ownership of ego and ownership over never just being satisfied or just resting on that expertise. I'm the leader. I'm here. I'm the CEO now. I'm good. Because at any time you could go back to being the novice.
It's, you touched on a very good point, and you brought up something especially about ego. Because have you ever met one of those people where their ego has been in the room for 25 minutes and they haven't even gotten there yet?
Jay, oh my God, no, I haven't. Being in entertainment, working in fashion with designers, models, makeup artists, hair artists. No, I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't know anyone with an ego. Maybe that's why I'm like this, because I'm so heart-centric and I'm always pretty... I like to sleep at night, and I'm a very honest person. And I actually genuinely like relationships that are strong with people that I can, that are based in reality. Maybe that's why the ego never came in my industry, or the fact that I was just so turned off by those people that I was always so aware of it and mindful of it that I was like, I don't want to be like that.
But you see, you touched on a good point. And
I think that's probably what it is.
That's probably what it is. But the thing that I was getting to is that the people that have these huge egos, they're the ones that aren't coachable. They're the ones that you can't sit down and go, hey, yeah, what you said probably wasn't, really good to say. They're always the ones quick to say, well, I'm the boss, I can say what's right. And so what I think is that what we're touching on is that you have to have this mindset of, everybody has a little bit of ego. It depends on how
it's healthy. You should have some confidence. You should know where you stand.
Self-confidence is very good.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm getting at is that you also have to have that mindset and go, you know what? I don't know everything. I'm not a know-it-all. And there is more that I could be told or taught by somebody else that may help me improve or help me make me evolve as a human being.
Yeah. I just love even the word novice. It's a cool word. I dig that word. And you're going to hear, we're having drinks here. You going to pop it? Oh. This is like ASMR.
Wait,
what is it called?
I have to hide the label because I don't want to catch it off guard. Wait, ready?
Oh my gosh. Such a white dude. Such a white dude moment. Oh my God. No, it's not. This is going to get cut. Slice and dice this moment.
No way. That's a White Claw sponsorship.
He has his choice and then I have mine.
But you forgot the small little part. I love that acronym. Have you ever heard that? KISS. Keep it simple.
Stupid.
Exactly.
But I don't use the word stupid.
I know.
That's a no word in my household.
But still. But it's one of those things that I always tell, keep it simple. Don't overthink it and things like that. And that's part of this thing about growing and not even growing, but being coachable is what that. It's like, you got to keep it simple. understand that there is more for you to learn. There's more for me to learn. Guarantee you there's probably a ton more for you to learn as well too.
So actually, I want to come back to the main, again, just theme of this episode. It's, expert to novice. And I want to applaud and just shout out anybody who was able to silence their self-doubt and their fear and the scariness of going from being an expert to a novice. It's extremely uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And I think it should be applauded and celebrated. And especially if that novice thing is maybe not as elite or exclusive or fancy or highbrow as your expert title was. I mean, that in itself too, it is cause for applause and has my hat is off to you. I have so much respect for people who can not be a one-trick pony or get so boxed into one identity, one career, one life, one lifestyle, and live in that almost fear base of fear of change, fear of doing anything that it takes them out of that expert space, whatever it may be that you've created in your, atmosphere, job, husband, wife, home, whatever, okay, zip code, whatever it is, right? They're all the same kind of energy, right? We're talking about the same type of energy here. What's the driver? Or do you have the ownership or does the thing have the ownership, right? And if you are able to go, you know what? The ego is not in the driver's seat. I know my worth. I want to have these new experiences. Remember all the fun initialisms of ownership? I'm going to go and be satisfied that I had this expert thing and know that I'm capable of this expert thing because I've done it, I've lived it. But I'm going to go be a novice for a little bit. And guess what? It's like a cycle, especially for people like myself. If you're an entrepreneur out there or a self-starter or find a way to always, do your thing and figure it out and, do what you do, it's a cycle. It's like an infinity symbol. Expert to novice, novice becomes the expert to novice, novice becomes the expert, within some scale. Now, the longer and more successful as an entrepreneur you are, I think that grave of, that scale.
It kind of pinches down a little bit more. It's not these huge curves.
Severe of losing expertise to novice. You don't ever go maybe so below your threshold of expertise across the board, but it's still that kind of cycling of being humble, learning, challenging yourself, having new experiences, and continue to grow as a human in all areas of your life.
Well, you touched on a really good way you call it the cycle of expert to novice. And a lot of things that you saw people post-pandemic doing was reinventing themselves and taking that step. And I think the biggest thing, especially for myself too, is stepping outside of your comfort zone. I'm good here. This is my happy little box. I'm an expert here and this stuff like that. But to then step out of that and reinvent yourself and go, what can I do that I have maybe a little YouTube training in or whatever, and you're wanting to find that expertise in it, but it's scary, and you get
scary.
You have to step. What I've learned too, is that especially with some of the stuff that I'm doing, is that you have to be able to be okay with being scared, and you have to be okay with being
the unknown,
but not being a know-it-all. Because as an expert, I don't want to say know-it-all as a bad thing, but as an expert, you do know a majority of what you're doing.
And the longer you're the expert in something, it's pretty hard to get thrown. Like last night's event, there was stuff that went down that if you were not a seasoned event planner, you would have lost full control. You would have stressed out. You would have been a basket case. You'd be passed out in the corner right now from exhaustion. Yeah. Me and my work life just kind of looked at each other and literally giggled and kept moving with what we had to do. And it was like a blip on the radar, but again, that comes with time, that comes with expertise, but at the same breath,
you stepping out of that and going into that and going into that comfort zone, that pulling yourself out of that comfort zone and going into that complete unknown and novice and scared out of your mind that when you make a mistake or whatever, you're trying to then recover as quickly as you possibly can. But I think that's the good part of that cycle that you were talking about. And it brings us back to going that expert to novice.
I want to go one layer deeper here because I think this is very relevant. And then I want to move to our next one because I think it's really good too. So for like myself, for example, my whole career has been outward facing, right? public and mass media, mass public, not just one targeted segment. I play for a big audience, men, women, all sexualities, all backgrounds, all genders. So when you throw out a big net all the time and you play to a large audience, right? It's a different energy. It's different marketing. It's different events. It's different music. It's a different vibe and energy of output, right? Coming from within. Now with ownership, for example, it's very raw. It's not playing to the masses. It's something that I'm kind of playing to myself that I hope people like. And it's extremely vulnerable. And with age, age is very interesting. Like I was saying this last night too, I was cracking up, is you have this juxtaposition of you have, excuse my French, no fucks left. You give no fucks, right? Because you get to a certain point, you're like, I give no fucks. Yep. And it's very empowering. I'm there. And, as a woman almost in her 40s, it's brilliant. I am who I am,
Look at you almost in your 40s.
I like dropping it now. I feel like a good fine wine. I'm really enjoying saying this.
You are.
It's kind of fitting me, I'm feeling it. I'm totally into turning 40. I'm actually looking very much to my 40s right now. But then there's this other switch of it where you've gotten so comfortable that you're that confident with yourself and who you are that you don't want anything to disrupt it. And that's where that fear comes in. That's where it gets really scary. That's where that novice energy comes in, where you're like, oh my goodness, I know my identity. I know how people view me over here. I know that person. I know that avatar. I've worn that avatar suit for 20 plus years. I'm very comfortable as that avatar. This other avatar of me, Allison, for example, in my situation, is a totally different energy, and it's a different offering, and it's a different output than what I did over in that suit. And I don't know yet how it's going to be received because we don't know that without time, right? So far, so good. But we all have our own goals, self-imposed, whatever they are, financial, whatever they are, right? Whenever we're going into something. And you don't ever get to know it until you have the evidence, until you have the time, until you have, whatever case study it is where you can actually look and go, okay, yeah, it did what it did or it didn't. And that's very challenging. That's very scary. And it's very interesting to, again, toggle between expert and novice, that cycle, and just kind of roll with it. And I think it's a really good, healthy space to be in. And if anyone's listening to this that was on the fence or has been struggling with changing their avatar, like I just said, so to speak, I would say try it on. Do it. Go be a novice for a minute. You can always go back to being an expert. Once you're an expert, you're never not the expert. That's the thing about it. Like if you see someone do a TEDx talk, I love giving this example because I've been getting pitched right now, so it's relevant. This is what popped in my head. But you never hear someone say, oh yeah, they were a TEDx speaker back in 2012, ex TEDx speaker. You don't hear that. They're a TEDx speaker. Doesn't matter. Founder of Fashion Week San Diego. Doesn't matter if I'm retired from it for the next 60 years. I was the founder. So expert is expert. It doesn't matter if the novice thing never happens again and it doesn't matter. So don't hold on to it so tight, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, you touched on a good point because you look back on that and I can go like, I'm, former executive news executive producer. And the thing is that you getting your mindset going. I think it's a mindset thing too.
I'm not that anymore.
I'm not that anymore. I am a senior producer. I am a podcast producer. I'm an aspiring production manager, production, company,
entrepreneur.
Yeah, I lost that word there for a second there, but
that's because you're not comfortable with this avatar yet.
I'm not.
I almost kicked your ass last night on it too. We had a conversation this morning when you got here too, and I just found you a couple line items you were missing on your P&L. I gotcha.
You did, and because my expertise. She's making me feel really uncomfortable right now. My expertise.
I'm laughing because I'm watching you just squirm. You're like, oh dang, this went the wrong direction, Allison.
It went
this
sideways
is not where
really
I want to go on the
here.
podcast.
No, but it's true because you know what, you brought up a good thing, and it doesn't mean it's like I'm expert at making other people look really, really good.
And it's scary to now
And
be
now
a novice.
now I'm having to go, you know what? Now I'm this novice of, I want to start my own production company. We're doing
You've
the
never
podcast.
been a business owner.
I've
You've
never been a
always worked
business
for
owner. I've
somebody.
always worked for somebody else.
Yeah.
And for me, somebody's like, oh, hey, I didn't get this video
You don't
last
have
night.
to give the example.
No, but it was really quickly, because the fact was I was going to do it for free. I'm like, oh, sure, no problem. Here I am. I'll just cut it for you. No, what's that? Then this wonderful lady over here said, why are you giving it away for free? And I'm going, you're right. It's my time. But that is the novice part of what I am.
My first thing I asked him was, are you interested in dating this person of the opposite sex? And he said no. And then I said, then why are you giving it away for free?
Because I'm a nice guy. I thought I'm doing nice guy stuff.
And then what did I say to you? Just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean you have to not make money. Just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean you can't be a good business owner.
This is true. But again, it's that novice. It's that novice mindset. It's that novice mindset.
It is tying whatever mental model that you have that ties your self-worth with money and being nice. And there's a disconnect there that you are very uncomfortable with tethering. Yes.
And now she's my therapist.
No, because, I'm your coach and I'm a coach and I would love to be everyone's coach listening. So please go to take-ownership.com for more there. But,
that was a sassy plug.
Yeah, you like it? And book a 15-minute strategy session with me, like Mr. J right now on live podcast. We're going to do it. We're going to do a strategy session. No, coaching's different. I don't talk actually very much and I won't tell you what to do. But you have to come up with it.
That's the funny thing is that I think that because my novice, I wasn't even thinking about where my disconnect between my worth and my value on that stuff. It was just because I'm just normally, I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but it was just like, it's no sweat for me to do it. So I'm just going to help out and do it. But then
that's not true. I had to literally pull out of you and ride you and come up with your rate to charge to do some videos. And listen, this is a great topic for a different podcast, but I'll wrap it here because I think that's the number one thing is if you're in entrepreneur space and you're an entrepreneur, you got that. Okay. But if you're someone like Jay Brown or our listeners who have maybe always been gainfully employed and were the designated authority of what they did, but they weren't the overarching rainmaker, it can be really challenging to be in that novice space, but acting like $1 million before you're $1 million and then having to put a price on it. I think that is the hardest part for people who are making a transition from working for an employer to working for themselves is assigning that dollar amount and having the confidence, no fear as this novice and the worth to say, yeah, I'm a $250 an hour person.
I'm not charging her enough then. No, but you're right.
You have my CV. Actually, that's not my rate. It's actually higher. I'm being conservative.
I know, but you do touch on something like that. And it's true because again, I've worked for the man. I've had steady and gainful employment for a majority of my career. I've never been an entrepreneur. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit, if I can say it correctly, of going, yeah, would it be great to go out and do this and be my own boss? And it is so scary because you're so used to having the confines of safety.
I'm cutting you off, but you want to know what's so funny?
What's that?
You want to know what terrifies me?
It's working for the man.
Oh my gosh. I think I would. I
Just being
joke
an
all the
employee
time.
number, huh?
I would be literally fired in a week because I wouldn't be able to stay in my own sandbox. I'd get in there and I'd be like, "This needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. Spaghetti sauce here. Blup, 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 blup. Oh, let me do this team development over here because we work a lot with this department and we could work better and more effective and more efficient." And everybody be like, "Who is this wild woman running through here? Why is she making us do more work, invest more time, be more passionate? Where is she getting this energy from? And what department where'd she even come from?" I just pop up in random meetings and be like, "So what's happening here?" Because I need to know the whole ecosystem so I can be more effective and efficient in my department and job and role. No, I'm telling you, no. And no, absolutely not. I would need to see full books. I'd want to see the health of the organization. I know I couldn't stay in my own sandbox. I'd get out. Everyone would be get out.
For me, I'm that peg that fits in the round hole so easily where you put me in my own little space and I'm good to go. Whereas she'd be the one running around like her hair's on fire and going, you would be like, where did she?
Or what would happen is they would be like, oh my gosh, we have just found the gold mine. We're going to lay off all these people and this one person for less money, her salary versus 6 people will do all this shit just fine and happy and get it done. And actually it'll probably get done faster and more accurate and, more controlled. So you know what? We just won the lottery with this employee.
I see a reality TV show in the making right there. Stick Allison in a company and see what she does.
Oh my God. I hopefully their HR department is on leave that week too, because I'm sure that would be gnarly. Because I
think you might take over HR too.
Probably. We need a clean house everywhere, in my opinion, everywhere, top to bottom. Let's go. Oh my, there would be a lot of group sessions, a lot of coaching group therapy sessions and mental health and yoga and meditation coming in and cold plunges. And I'd create the wellness spa, in the parking lot because we don't need those car spaces. Wellness is more important. It'd be very interesting. And then I would have, but I got to balance out. But then I'd have social cocktail hours with DJs out on the patio of the corporate campus, to create a fun environment because I love events. Yeah, why not? Make it cool. I'm a mess.
I would love to.
This is what I do.
I would love to. Seriously, I would love to see you like a random, almost like what was that? The undercover boss. I would love to have a reality TV show where we take Allison, we put her in some Fortune 500 company, maybe a bank, yeah, a bank. We take you to a bank,
real suited up,
and we sit you in there.
I'm too colorful.
And see what chaos you bring, but the good chaos, not the bad chaos.
I would find probably where they're hiding money and doing wrong transactions and taking people's and doing bad stock deals. I don't know. I would just get really, really interested in that.
No, but to bring us back to full circle here is that the one thing that we need to learn is that we all go through these cyclical things of being a novice, being an expert, and coming back again. So, that's
having that mental aptitude and emotional aptitude to go from confidence to complete fear of failure. Excuse me. The coffee's kicking in here. But again, it's that mental flexibility and emotional flexibility, because as we know, business is personal, personal is business. If you have a good day at work, you're going to have a good day at home. And if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, or someone who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, I'm going to tell you right now, your business is 100% personal. 100% personal. So it's being able to flex that muscle emotionally and mentally to go from expert to novice, novice to expert, and be able to toggle and maintain that ownership of your self, regardless of your status within yourself. All right. Yeehaw. I like it.
This was a good one.
I liked it.
It was good.
And I was inspired literally in the 11th hour. I think at 2 a.m. this morning when I went to bed, I was like, you know what? I'm going to scratch what our normal 9 was. And I want to talk about expert to being a novice because I'm in it.
When you do that, it always scares the living daylights out of me because I don't know where you're going to come from at that point.
I changed all episodes.
Oh,
all of them are changed. But they're all really, really good. The next one though. So if you liked what you heard, every 2 weeks, we got a new episode for you. And I just want to encourage you to follow us and connect with us on Instagram at take_ownership or myself at Allison Andrews Cantor. And again, you can go online to take-ownership.com to schedule a 15-minute strategic session with me, a coaching session. I would love it. It would be my privilege and honor to get to coach you. And until then, from Jay and myself, we just want to thank you so much for listening, subscribing, and sharing, and tune in. And before you go, I'm going to challenge you like I always do. Get ready for it. What is one thing you can do in the next 2 weeks to take ownership over your life?